Welcome to 2014 Homecoming at Northwestern. And this is the 14th year that we've had the College of Education Hall of Distinguished Educators induction ceremony. I'm Vicki Gentry, and I'm the Dean of this college. We're now called the Gillespie Family College of Education and Human Development. Today we have 5 individuals who earned undergraduate degrees in teacher education from the years 1949, 1962, 1964, 1970, and 1983. Now I call attention to these years of graduation, not to call attention to their age, but to the point that for many, many years we've been preparing teacher educators at Northwestern. These years, this is just a snapshot of the time period that we've been providing teachers. You all know that Northwestern was the first institution in this state to begin teacher preparation, and that was in the year 1884. Faculty, not just in this college, but university-wide, are very respectful of our legacy in teacher education, and we're mindful of the fact that for each generation of teachers, they have to be prepared differently. The ratings to determine teacher accreditation and teacher effectiveness change over time, as it should. I believe one reason why Northwestern's teacher preparation programs continue to receive national accolades is because Northwestern faculty keep current in their field. They strive to meet national and state standards, and they value the importance of helping all students learn and to be successful in life. And I think we're going to hear that message today as the recipients kind of tell their story and what meaningful their years at Northwestern were. Later in the program, I'm going to talk specifically about accolades that have been given to this college and by different professional groups. Now, it's my pleasure to recognize an alumnus of the college who was named Distinguished Educator in 2007, and he's better known for his service to Northwestern as president for the last 20 years. Dr. Randall Webb, you're standing behind me.
Thank you so very much. It's a real honor to welcome you to Homecoming 2014 at Northwestern, and it's particularly an honor for me to welcome you to the area that has the academic program that's been here the whole time. It's the only area of the university that can make that claim. So we're really on hallowed grounds when we're around the College of Education and Human Development. I want to point out the fact that Dr. Vicki Gentry has really brought outstanding leadership to this college, and I want to recognize her for that and express appreciation on behalf of the university, its alumni, and all the students and faculty who are involved in this college, because it makes a tremendous difference. Our standards have never been higher, and what we learn about our graduates is they perform admirably in the workplace. I want to introduce to you also a couple of other people who are very important to the university and to me. I want to introduce my wife, Brenda, the First Lady of Northwestern. Brenda, too, is a graduate of a program at this college at that time that was under Dr. Hurst Hall, and it was, who's with us today, and it was the Master of Arts in Student Personnel Services. I also want to introduce someone who is really dear to me and to the university, and particularly to leaders like Dr. Gentry, and that's my friend and yours, Dr. Lisa Adnett. Lisa. Lisa is Provost and Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs. If you're in administration at Northwestern with all the budget cuts we've gone through, you have probably at least 2, possibly up to 3 full-time positions. So it's not uncommon for people to have to work that way, but Lisa, I apologize for your doing that.
My pleasure.
You know, there's so many different criteria by which you can evaluate the effectiveness of an academic degree program. One of those has to do with the performance of its graduates in the workplace. And I'm pleased to say that from our beginning, from the very beginning, that our education program has been a symbol and an active player in teaching excellence, in serving students, in innovation and creativity. And frankly, it's why Northwestern is what it is today. But we're also grateful, and it's indeed gratifying to know that from its beginning, that our graduates have distinguished themselves as teachers, administrators, supervisors, counselors in the schools, and have gone on to jobs in higher education and elsewhere as well. To me, teacher education is a preparation for life, whether you're going to be an outstanding parent, whether you're going to be working for business and industry, or whether you'll be in education. Wherever you might be in life, I think any of us who bear what we consider to be the mark of the normal, any of us feel as though that this program has indelibly changed our lives for the better. In the recent era, as Dr. Gentry said, since 1995, is that right? We've had the Hall of Distinguished Educators. 2000. It's even more recent than I thought. But in the recent era, we have begun formally acknowledging those people whom we feel have excelled as a result of their graduation from teacher education here or related area, and have made a difference in education, made a difference in the lives of students in a major way. This is but a small group, a very small group of people who really are symbolizing these kinds of characteristics for untold numbers of graduates of this program who possibly have no one to come forward and stand in for them and to tell the world how remarkable and incredible they were in the lives of people. So it's for all of us when we induct these fine people, and it's just a few, when we induct them, we congratulate them, we express appreciation to their service, we express appreciation to them for having chosen Northwestern in the first place, but they really aren't us. It's all about the family of the College of Education and Human Development. I hope you have a wonderful day today. I just love homecoming. I've been coming since I was a little child with my parents here, and I learned to revere this place as sacred and hallowed, and I still feel that way today. Thank you.
Well, they have a lot of stops to make today, so we appreciate them for coming by. I wanted to share with you as alumni and friends of this college that the university has undergone another restructuring, and this college now has some new departments, so I wanted to recognize those, putting them in alphabetical order to show that they're all important to the work of this college. So we have the Department of Health and Human Performance, and the department head is Dr. John Dollar. Dr. Dollar, are you still here? Would you stand? You don't save your applause for later. Yeah, keep standing. Keep standing.
Keep looking.
So Dr. Dollar is in his department. We have health and physical education teaching. We have health and exercise science. We have health promotion at the graduate level, sports administration at the graduate level, and we have a new division, the Family family of consumer sciences who have degrees in family and consumer science as well as hospitality management and tourism. They're now part of this department. So welcome. Thank you, John, for all your work. And there's other faculty from your department here as well. Dr. Dickens is sitting next to you, and we really appreciate you coming today. Another department is psychology, and the department head is Dr. Susan Barnett, and Susan is visiting her mother out of state this weekend. But representing that department is Jody Bisco. Jody, would you stand? And thank you for coming today. Another department is social work, and the department head is Wade Tyler. Dr. Tyler is also out of town this weekend, but Patricia Clark is representing that department. Here we go. Hi. Thank you for coming. And a department that it historically has been the College of Education, and it's related to teacher certification. And this department is now called Teaching, Leadership, and Counseling. And the department head is Dr. Kimberly McAllister. And Kim is going to be helping me later during the induction program. Earlier, I mentioned about national attention that has been given to this different academic programs in this college. And so now I wanted to highlight 3 of those programs. The Masters of Arts in Counseling was recently accredited by CACREP, which is the Council for the Accreditation of Counseling and Related Educational Programs. And we've redesigned the counseling program. Here's the certificate to show that we're officially recognized at the national level. And I want to thank Dr. Perkins, who coordinated the effort for accreditation, and she's here somewhere. Dr. Perkins, Dr. Eric Braun, please stand up to be recognized. They put in a lot of hours for this work. And Dr. Eric Braun and Dr. Paula Christensen. There were others who contributed as well, but they did the bulk of the work for that accreditation. Thank you. I wanted to make you aware that the online undergraduate program in psychology was recently named the #1 psychology program in the nation by Students Before Profits organization. This organization recognizes online, accredited, and nonprofit academic programs with lower than average tuition cost and ranked according to affordability. NSU's psychology program earned the #1 spot because students are more important than profits and a quality education before the bottom line. That was a direct quote from this organization. And lastly, a group called the National Council for Teacher Quality, in its 2014 review of 2,400 teacher preparation programs in the United States, ranked Northwestern's undergraduate degree program in elementary education #4 in the nation. There were only 26 elementary education programs that were awarded in the what they call the top rank status. Northwestern's programs met all the standards in early reading, elementary mathematics, student teaching, struggling readers, classroom management, and outcomes. The only area that we were, I guess you could say, insufficient was in the area of selectivity. And this group prefers that for selecting teacher candidates that you have at least a 3.0 grade point average. And currently our GPA for admission is a 2.5. But nevertheless, this is, 2,400 programs, and ours was #4 in the nation. So we're very proud of that accomplishment. So all of these accolades couldn't happen if it wasn't for the wonderful faculty that we have in this college. So if you're a faculty member, a staff member, would you please stand and be recognized by the alumnus? Thank you so much. It's appropriate to introduce new faculty to this college. We have 2, and Dustin Abear. I'm going to make you stand up. Where are you, Dustin? He's in the back of the room. He's the associate professor, and he's the coordinator of the Educational Technology Leadership Program. He has a PhD from LSU, and we recruited him from McNeese. And he's got on purple today. We're proud of that and welcome. We look forward to your working with us and reviving the Educational Leadership Program. Dr. Bill Morrison is here also, and many of you may recognize his name because he taught in Rapides Parish for 22 years, and a long time, he said. He is coordinating the adult education program. We're redesigning that program. It's going to have a new name. It's Adult Learning and Development. And we're looking forward to you working with us and working with the community. He's hit the ground running, made a lot of contacts, and we're just really proud to have you on board. All right, and I also recognize the college's Teacher of the Year at this program, and this year the Teacher of the Year is Dr. Eileen Kendrick. She is not with us today because, to her good fortune, she was a recipient for the Phi Delta Kappa International Study Tour, and bless her heart, she is in Amsterdam and Paris as we speak. Working hard. Supposedly she's meeting students and visiting schools and meeting with educational leaders in each city. But we're just real proud of her work, and she's an outstanding professional. She taught in the Gifted Education program at Middle Lab for many years. She was the coordinator of gifted education in the State Department of Education for several years. So she's been here since 2008, and the Teacher of the Year is selected by the faculty of the college. So it's a real tribute to the work that she's done to receive this honor. Well, we're almost there, and that's to the part of the program dealing with the induction ceremony. And it's my pleasure to introduce the President of the College of Education Advisory Council, and that's Mr. Jimmy Berry.
Welcome home. Some of you I haven't seen for a number of years, but it's so good to see you. I hope your life has gotten better since the last time I saw you. I was looking around this room. I wonder if this has anything to do with this seating arrangement, anything to do with your political views. If so, we've got a lot of right-wingers in here. Not too many of them that way. Anyway, let me get started here. Before I get started, let me say thanks to a number of people here. Where's Janet Broadway? Janet, stand up. Janet handles all of our paperwork for the new inductees and getting all this information together, putting it out. And we really appreciate you, Janet. Thanks for all that. Thanks to Dr. Vicky Gentry and all of her very capable staff for putting all this together. It doesn't look like there would be too much work, but it's a ton of work. And so we appreciate what you do. And trying to get it all together right. I know Vicky's had some hair-raising experience with some of these things that didn't come out quite like you wanted. Congratulations to all of you that are being inducted today. I'm so very proud of you, and I know you're glad to be here. Our sincere thanks to all of you that are friends, family, that have come to support your person down here on the front row. Thank you. Appreciate that. The purpose of the College of Education's Advisory Council is to provide advice and support to ensure the mission of the Department of Education is accomplished. Our broad objectives are to assist with NCATE and SACS accreditations, and we also help in the recruiting and retention of students. But our most enjoyable task is the selection of the individuals for the Hall of Distinguished Educators and Friends of Education. We only see 6 down here this morning, but you're looking through all of those nominees that came in, their applications, whatever, their forms. We have some tremendous people, and you ought to feel honored to be here today because there were a lot of good people there to select from. And there is every year. And that makes me proud of our College of Education because we have put out some really good people. It's excuse me, every once in a while I get a little choked up with some of these things, but to me it's a very humbling experience to be honored by your colleagues in the field of education. To know that they really respect and admire all of the work that you've done throughout your life. That is quite an honor. After 130 years of producing some of the most outstanding teachers, educators in the state of Louisiana and in the nation. Only 75 before today have been put on that wall out there. 75. So you are among the elite group there. And some of those names, like T.H. Harris and Bill Dodd and Shelby Jackson, most of you probably remember them, high-profile people. And then we had a lot of people like Camille Stroud and Mary Lee Posey, who were just real good classroom teachers. And so that's what I enjoy about this too, because we go across a broad spectrum there and selecting people. Okay, we at Northwestern appreciate all the work that you people have done and all the outstanding contributions that you've made throughout your distinguished career. That's amazing, and some of the things that y'all have done. You have impacted so many lives and provided so many positive and productive things throughout your life, and we appreciate that. You've definitely made a difference in this world. And I think that's something that all of us want to say when it gets kind of toward the end of our careers. You serve as great ambassadors for Northwestern. And I know your families are extremely proud of you. And that's a tremendous legacy to leave. Each of you makes the family here at Northwestern extremely proud that you're a Northwestern State graduate. May God bless.
Okay, well, we're at the part of the program where we will have a video to each recipient. And just to kind of prepare you, it's very brief, but it goes in alphabetical order. And after your part finishes, then we'll ask you to come here and we can have an opportunity for family members to take pictures. And then you can come around and acknowledge thanks or any words that you would like to give. When you completed the application, the recipient, when I sent the letters of congratulation out, I asked them to answer a question, what's your most memorable experience over your career of teaching? And so people responded, and I'm going to ask Dr. Kimberly McAllister to read the response that was provided for each person. And so it's kind of special. So we're ready, and Dr. Sanson is kind of spearheading this effort, so we're ready to begin the program.
Northwestern State University's Gillespie College of Education and Human Development is proud to induct 5 alumni into its Hall of Distinguished Educators. Honorees must have graduated from Northwestern's College of Education at least 30 years prior to nomination. The Hall of Distinguished Educators was established in 2000 to recognize graduates of NSU's teacher education program who have made significant contributions to the field of education. This year's honorees are Dr. Sarah Peace Ebarb of Shreveport, Dr. Karen Jane Mays Griffin of Tullis, W. Edward Heron of Shreveport, Julia Chambers Hildebrand of Natchitoches, Eloise Sanders of Arcadia, and a friend of education, Michael J. Mickey Murphy of Bogalusa. Sarah Ebarb has served as superintendent of schools in Sabine Parish since 2010. She earned a bachelor's degree in education at Northwestern in 1983, a master's in counseling at Louisiana Tech in 1986, and a master's degree plus 30 in supervision and administration in 1989. She earned her doctorate from Nova Southeastern University in 2008. Prior to her current position, she worked in administration for the Caddo Parish School Board as a principal, assistant principal, counselor, and classroom teacher in Caddo Parish. She was also an adjunct instructor for LSU Shreveport and Centenary College. Ebarb has earned many professional honors during her career, including being named Louisiana PTA Educator of Distinction, Regional and District Principal of the Year, and Assistant Principal of the Year. Ebarb lives in Manny and has been married to Ronnie Ebarb for the past 30 years. She has 5 nieces and nephews, Zach, Kelly, Matt, Laura, and Emma, and 3 great-nieces and nephews, Caroline, Keaton, and Cash.
In response to the question, what was one of your most memorable experiences in teaching, Dr. Ebarb stated, working with a student named Charles. I was his principal from kindergarten to 5th grade, and this chokes me up, okay? I knew that Charles had little support at home, and I wanted him to have great experiences and opportunities at school. I monitored his progress and spent time with him. At Christmas one year, in our school store, he bought me a ring for $1. It touched her heart. Charles went on to junior high and high school, but I kept my eye on him. When Charles was a senior, I was then area director for school support, performance and on stage at his graduation. To my surprise, they called on me to present Charles with his diploma. That is one example of the many blessings she has received in her educational career. Dr. Sarah Ebarb. Mr. Heron, that was at Woodlawn, by the way. My husband's alma mater. And my brother says I'm long-winded, so I'm going to try not to be. And he's here, so. But I do want to thank some people, some special people, and I'll tell you that in my career I've been blessed, so much by so many people. And it's been very hard to narrow all that down to just a few, but I'm going to try. I want to say congratulations to the other inductees and Mr. Heron. Mr. Heron was my boss at one time, and he's already mad at me because he said there wasn't a picture out there of he and I. But he was my boss, and I'm really, I was honored to see that his name was in this group of inductees. So, Mr. Heron, there's your sweet recognition. This is a great day for me. I'm extremely honored to be recognized by our beloved Northwestern. Never did I expect this. Both my grandparents were teachers, and they both went to Normal College. My great-grandmother was also a teacher in a one-room schoolhouse in Sabine Parish. They would be really pleased about this. My grandmothers would be extremely pleased. And I know hopefully in heaven they know about this. Many of my family members attended and graduated Northwestern, and I want to thank my dear friend and co-worker, Dawn Tyson, who nominated me for this, and she's here today. Dawn and I have been friends our entire lives. We got to be friends in 8th grade, and we are still friends. And we worked together through the years and remained close, and it was really sweet of her to nominate me. And also Pam Bloomer, who's a principal in Caddo. I worked with Pam. She was an assistant principal. She was promoted under me, and she and I went to Northwestern together, took Memphis together. So I really want to thank the two of them for going to the trouble to do this. It was a very thoughtful thing to do. I've been blessed with tons of good friends that went with me through school, through all my school years, and I appreciate them and being able to maintain close relationships with them. I'm very blessed by the Lord to have a hardworking and loyal staff in Sabine Parish. Some of them are here today. Even one of them who's retired is here today. And I really appreciate them coming and supporting me. Being able to come back to Sabine has meant the world to me, and it's because I have a great board, and they were willing to let me come back and serve the students in Sabine Parish. And for that, I am eternally grateful. And some of my board members are here today, Mr. Martin, Mr. Billman, and Mr. Skinner, and I appreciate you being here and appreciate you letting me continue to serve. They renewed my contract, so I'm really happy about that. I'll tell you that always I've had great employees to work with, great people who cared about the schools and the community in Caddo and Sabine, and I'm really, really grateful for that. I would not have become an administrator had it not been for Mr. Albert Hardison. And he's here today. And Mr. Hardison, will you stand? Now, I know that it said I'm from Shreveport. Shreveport on the video, and I'm not from Shreveport, I'm from Negrete. My husband resides in Shreveport, and he likes for me to say that I live in Shreveport, but I reside in Negrete. and Mr. Hardison was my boss at Walnut Hill, and I was his counselor. I was 24, and Mr. Aaron was Mr. Hardison's boss at the time. And so Mr. Hardison kept coming to my office saying, you need to go back and be an administrator. You need to go back and get your certification. I'd be like, are you kidding me, Mr. Hardison? I don't want to do that. I want to be a counselor. And he'd say, no, I really need you. I need you to do this. So he drove me nuts until I had my master's and I went back and got certified in administration. And then the next thing I knew, I was his assistant principal. And so then he kept pushing me about being a principal. And one day I said, Mr. Hardison, do you not like me or something? He said, what do you mean? And I said, you keep trying to push me out of the nest. He said, no, I just really believe that you should be a principal, and I want you to be able to go out and do good things for students. So if it hadn't been for Mr. Hardison, I certainly wouldn't have been a superintendent because he really pushed me. And he's still a principal. His heart's in the schools, and you can't push him out. You can't get him to go do anything else. I think they're going to be pushing him around when he's in a wheelchair, but he loves it there. And I want you to know, Mr. Hardison, that I love you. I'm very appreciative of you pushing me like you did, and I'm really happy to see you today. And the last thing I want to say about Mr. Hardison, of course, he's brilliant. He's a leader with raw talent, home skills, and he had the good sense to marry a girl from Negrete. And I had lots of good bosses, Donna Baker, Miss Tyler, Mr. Walker, and like I told y'all, Mr. Heron and Dr. Jean Nicholas. And I'm very appreciative of the work that they did to help me. And I could not have ever done anything in any position I've had without great secretaries. I have been blessed with the most awesome secretaries, and my secretary Janet's here today, and I very much appreciate that. In fact, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have gotten my stuff together. Janet pushing me. And then finally, I want to say thank you to the Lord for the wonderful parents that I had. They're both deceased. But they taught me to love my family, practice my faith, and to work hard. Now, my daddy thought I was crazy for working on a doctorate, but he called everybody in the world to time. And the thing he was most proud of was the summer I went down and put up peas for him. Because he did not want me to be lazy. So I want you to know that I had great parents. My mother was a special person, and hopefully, she and Daddy are both here today. And I can tell by looking out, seeing my nieces, and seeing my brother, and seeing my family, that maybe my aunt, my uncle, that maybe they're here in spirit. I hope so. And so thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here.
Well, you forgot your husband.
I didn't forget him. Thank you, Mr. Hardison. I'm right home with him. Okay. I wanted to thank all of you for coming. The last thing I wanted to say is that I have a great husband who has supported me in every educational endeavor and in every professional endeavor. He has not always probably agreed with everything. And the most difficult has probably been that he's still working in Shreveport, and I'm working in Sabine, and we have 2 places to take care of, and I like the fence rows clean at the farm, and so it's a job to keep all that up. But he's been very supportive, and I love him very much, and I'm very appreciative of what he has done to help me through my career. Thank you, Northwestern. Thank you, Dr. Gentry, Dr. Ducard, Ms. Broadway, Dr. Webb. Thank you all for the honor. It means a whole lot to me and to my family. Thank you.
Jane Griffin is principal at Winfield High School. She earned a bachelor's degree in education in mathematics at NSU in 1970, a master's in mathematics education in 1974, and a doctorate in secondary education in 1982. Over the last 45 years, she has been a high school teacher of mathematics and English in Wynne and LaSalle parishes, assistant principal and principal at Winfield Senior High, and an adjunct instructor for Northwestern State and Louisiana Tech. She holds memberships in several educational and athletic organizations. During her career, she has been named Louisiana Teacher of the Year, Region 6 LeQ, Administrator of the Year, and Louisiana State Principal of the Year. Griffin lives in Tullis and has been married to Ronald for the past 46 years, and they have 4 children, Kimberly, Cindy, Wayne, and Adam, and 8 grandchildren, Zachary, Gabriel, Bailey, Griffin, Garrett, Micah, Addison, and Reagan.
In response to the question, what was one of Dr. Griffin's most memorable experiences in teaching, she replied that specific students who impacted my life and taught me to teach. For example, my first year of teaching is memorable because students taught me much more than I taught them. 12 years later at Winfield Senior High School, my first trigonometry class challenged me to stay on my toes, to stay ahead of them. This group of students initiated the addition of calculus to the school curriculum. There have been hundreds of students who followed these and forced me to be a lifelong learner. My role as principal intensified the necessity to work harder and learn more, both at the school level, state level, and national level. I continue to be pushed by my students and staff to learn more and do more. Maybe I'll write a book one day.
At least I won't be the first one to get real emotional. Thank you for leading the way. Now, this is truly an honor, one that I certainly feel unworthy of, but I want to thank Northwestern for everything they've done for me over the years, for my family. I have 4 children. All 4 of those children are graduates of Winfield. Hopefully we'll have some grandchildren that will come through. We have 8 grandchildren who absolutely thrill my life. I'm very flattered to have received this award. And it means so much to me coming from a university that has done so much for me in my personal life as well as my professional life. I'm so grateful for the education I received and that my children received here. I'm looking forward to seeing some of those 8 grandchildren, hopefully all of them, to attend Northwestern State University to further their careers. Because of the experience and education I received here, I have had a very, very rewarding career. The great names in my education include, a couple of them are here today, Dr. Gilbert and Dr. Hall. Dr. Whittington, Dr. Carr served as my major professor during my doctoral studies and pushed me through that dissertation. His theme was, as long as you don't quit, you'll get there. When I didn't send him anything in a couple of weeks, I got a nudge. Hey, hadn't heard from you, let's hear something. Because it was before computers, and I typed it myself. So it was torture. And the library over there probably financed a new wing on all the copies that I made, so I could take them home to read them and cut and paste rather than have to sit there and take the notes in the library. Dr. Covington probably, Mr. Covington probably doesn't even know that he's probably the inspiration for my becoming a math teacher. I was taking trig at 7 o'clock in the morning in one of the dorms they had converted before the Kaiser was opened. 7 o'clock in the morning, I had trig, and I had just finished it in high school with a very outstanding high school teacher, Mr. Everett Thurman. And as I walked out one day, he said, "Karen Jane, by the way, I'm just plain Jane Griffin. I do not live in Tullis. I live in a little rural area called Beach Creek. I go to Beach Creek Baptist Church, which is a little white church up on the hill. And I'm principal at Winfield Senior High School. I get my mail through Tullis. I get my mail through Tullis. I live closer to Allah. I went to school in Winfield. And I'm all confused. That's really who I am. But Dr. Covington said, "Karen Jane, what are you majoring in?" "Home ec." That's where I started. He said, you need to major in math. Well, a few things happened, and my husband, who's been my husband for 46 years, a little over than that, he was on his way to Vietnam, and he was waiting for me when I came out of class that day. We were engaged, and he said, I came out and I was crying. He said, what's wrong? And I told him, he said, what you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna change my major. He said, what you gonna change it to? And I said, pluck out of midair, math. And that's when I became a math major, which was the very thing I needed to do. I feel like God pushes us the direction we need to go. Just wait for it. And that's how I became a math teacher. Dr. Gilbert, who was a rock throughout my doctoral studies, Dr. Clinton, Dr. Chaddick, and Dr. Hall. I just appreciate these guys so much because they did provide such good role models for us. We had a group of about 11 doctoral students that moved. It's kind of like a clan. I mean, we just, kind of moved around, made some great friends. We learned a lot. We had a lot of great experience. I looked at the names on the wall out there, and those are a testament to the continuing influence of Northwestern State University throughout the world. Thank you for the support Northwestern has provided, not just for me, but for my school. Dr. Webb, he's gone, but we are certainly going to miss him. He has been a friend at Northwestern. He has been a friend to Winfield Senior High School, and he has been a friend to me. I wish him the best in the next phase of his life. I'm sure he's not finished. I wish our new president the best of luck, and with the staff that you have seen many of here today, I'm sure things are going to really progress and continue to grow. Northwestern will continue to be an influence in our world. Thank you, Dr. Gentry and Dr. Dukar, Ms. Broadway, for guiding us through this process. You've been wonderful. Every time I've called, I've had the answer to my question. And I appreciate this award so much. I do want to thank my friends and family for being here today. It was homecoming week at Winfield Senior High School this week, and they came, they were here by 9:30 on Saturday morning, and I appreciate that so much. Again, as the former recipient said, my husband has been my support throughout it all. For 46 years, he's been there. He is now retired, and he's my chauffeur. Wherever we go, whether it be New Orleans, Shreveport, wherever we go, it's okay if he drives and I'm on the computer or my phone or I'm passed out asleep. Whatever I need to do, he's been there for me, and I appreciate it so much. Again, thank you.
Edward Herron is a headmaster and founding member of Word of God Academy in Shreveport. During his career, he's been a teacher, coach, principal, parish director of middle and high schools, and headmaster of 2 private schools in Caddo Parish. Herron earned a bachelor's degree in upper elementary education at Northwestern State in 1960, a master's in education, administration and supervision from Louisiana State University in 1967, and 30 hours above a master's in administration from LSU. He has served as an officer and member of several professional organizations and made many significant contributions to education. During his career, he was named Caddo Parish Educator of the Year and Educator of Distinction, among other leadership honors, while his schools were named Schools of Excellence. Herron lives in Shreveport and has been married to Lucy Joyner Herron for the past 50 years. They have 3 children, Edward, Christopher, and Cheston, and 5 grandchildren, Caden, Landry, Haley, Hudson, and Harper.
When asked about his most memorable experiences in teaching, Mr. Herron replied that one of his best memories was when he was principal in Shreveport at Broadmoor Middle Laboratory School. In 1987, his school was recognized in a special ceremony at the White House. I'll never forget being in the Rose Garden and meeting President Reagan. Mr. Herron.
I think about half of the people in here I work with. Jimmy and I helped start the middle school organization many years ago. When we go back, but 2014 has been a great year for me. And I'll tell you why. First of all, it has been my 50th wedding anniversary. June the 20th, 1964, by my wife. Lucy, would you stay in? Come on, just stand. We've been married for 50 years. Also, in May of this year, 2014, I had the opportunity to come back with several of my friends, and a couple of them are here today with us. Alex is in, Andy, and Benji couldn't make it, but we came for the 50th graduation. I really graduated. I did not graduate in 1960 from Northwestern. I graduated in 1964 from Northwestern. So Matthew's paper had it wrong. So, yes. And that's where my brother is almost. And he's here today. And today's his birthday, by the way, too. So happy birthday, Jenny. Having some friends here and all, it is a pleasure. You know, seeing Albert out there, having an opportunity of being some of these people's boss, it wasn't really a boss. To me, if you have to keep telling people who the boss is, you're not the boss. And so as a result of that, I had great people working for me. I had great people working with me. And I had that opportunity. You know, Coach Hildebrand, where are you? Coach Hildebrand was my basketball coach. I wasn't very good, but he also was the supervisor of officials. I also got back at him because I used to referee his basketball games when he was the coach at Northwestern. But you know, he never got on to me. Got on to the other officials. But he also was the supervisor, and you all know he had a big award a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think it was last month. And he has been an inspiration to me because he's always supported me. I was thinking earlier, when I graduated from Natchez High School in 1960, Colonel Markham was the principal. But Mr. A.B. Simpson, if he could be here today, he would say, how in the devil is that guy up there? Because Mr. Simpson, as you know, Coach Hildebrand, he could move and be anywhere. He was supposed to run in the Olympics and during the war, and the war broke out, he didn't get to run, but one day he was, I was mad at something and slammed my locker. And I turned around and guess who was standing right behind me? Mr. Simpson, Mr. A.B. Simpson. And he said, Mr. Aaron, you think you could slam that locker any harder? I said, yes, sir. Why he didn't expel me, why he didn't suspend me, I don't know. But he had compassion. And that was one thing about that I learned, is to have compassion. I am honored, Vicki, Dr. Gentry, her husband and I graduated together in Natchez High School. And did Roy make it?
He's supposed to be here somewhere.
Okay.
But
We're not sure. But I am honored. But I look out there on that wall and I see some of those names, and I'm going, what in the world am I doing up there? But I am very honored to be here. I am honored to have the opportunity to work with some of the finest people in Caddo Parish, and you can see why. Sarah Ebar, there's Cooper Connect up there, and then Chris Weaver, and I saw some more Caddo people. It's just a privilege to be able to be here and work. You know, seriously, when I was reading the paper about 3 weeks ago, it was talking about teachers not being trained to go in the classroom. And I can say this, I had probably two of the finest supervising teachers here at Northwestern. I had Miss Crew, which now I think is at the school at Georgia Park Elementary. And then I had Miss Butler, which used to be at the junior high school. So I did 2 semesters. I didn't think I got it the first time and went ahead and did it. But I wasn't sure. My major was upper elementary education. But I know that I was prepared when I went to the classroom. Now, the only one of the stupidest things I ever did was give an assignment. I was a math teacher, and give an assignment of writing to 1 to 1,000 in Roman numerals. Now think about that. How many times you gonna use that? I mean, they're coming up with the 50th Super Bowl, and they're not even gonna use the L. You know how many pages it would take to write through 1 to 1,000 Roman numerals? And that was the first time that I learned forgiveness. I learned also about telephone calls from parents. And I also learned to give every one of those students a straight A, whether they did it or not. Because some of them stayed up all night because they were worried about it. Writing from 1 to 1,000 in Roman numerals, and the chapter on Roman numerals was only about 2 pages long. But that's probably one of the stupidest things that I did in teaching math. So I learned early. In getting into education and deciding on Caddo, my wife had already had a job at Erie Drive Middle School. And we just got married, and I was interviewing. I was telling Al this morning that I was interviewing for a place outside of Beaumont, Texas. But she already had a job, and lo and behold, I was interviewed for a job in Caddo. I got word that there's one place you don't want to go in Caddo Parish because of the principal. Well, guess what school I got assigned to? That school, Linwood Junior High School. And probably the best experience because I learned during that time, and I won't call the principal's name, I learned how not to be a principal. First of all, you know, when principals make announcements on the announcement sheet that we used to have, and they say, you are always to sign in at 7:30. Well, everybody in the school knew who always was late. So why didn't you go to that person and talk to that person? And I think that's one of the things that's really helped me in my career, is not to have a full-blown announcement, but get the person that you have a problem with. Get the person who's late, or get the person who's not doing the job, and have them in the office with you, whether you've made the mistake or whether they make the mistake. I'm not a micromanager. I never have been. I've had good people. Albert Hardison sitting there. Albert is like me. They've been asking him, how many times are you asked, Albert, how many are you going to retire? Quite a few.
Almost every day now.
And it's not because he's not doing a good job. He's already got a building named after him, you know, and he didn't die. So they were going to name one after me at Broadmoor, and I said, you need to forget that. Well, the principal did forget it, so the building wasn't there when I was there, so we didn't have to worry about that. But I think as an administrator, that my success was I always hired good people. I remember in 1981, Walter Lee came to me. I was assistant principal at Hollywood Middle School and said, we want you to go to Broadmoor. I said, I'm not going there. I said, I got a great job here, and I'm not going there. I said, That's a drug-infested school. I'm not going over there. And so he left. We came back this time, but he sent Dr. Betty McNeese. I don't know if any of you know her, but Dr. Betty McNeese came. You can't say no to that lady. But she came back and she said, "Yeah, we want to talk with you again." And so Mr. Lee gave me this message. He said, "What we're going to do is close the school, open it back up into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and you're going to get to hire your own teachers." Magic word. When you get to hire your teachers, then you hire the best. And going to having an opportunity of going to Washington, D.C., I always tell folks, it was not me. It was the people that I had working for me. And, you know, we as administrators always kind of get the glory, but it's the people that's working behind the scenes that are really doing the job. And they make you look good. But as I said, 2014, a good year, being inducted here, which I almost, Vicki, threw the letter away. I thought it was a joke. It laid up on my dresser for a couple of days, and then I read it to my wife, and she said, "Well, you need to check into that." I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure. And after seeing the names up there, I am sure now that I shouldn't be up there. But Northwestern prepared me for education. They prepared me for the classroom. Now today we need to probably use combat training for some of our classrooms. And right now I'm having the opportunity. I have retired 2 times. I don't know when I'm going to stop. I don't play golf anymore. I don't fish. I don't hunt. But I know what I'd do if I was not working. I still want to have an effect on children's lives. I still want to hire good teachers that love kids. I still want to be and have the opportunity to influence some educators and the children. You know, several years ago there was a statement saying that it takes a whole village to raise a child. No, it takes good parents to educate their children and to work with you at the school. And that's what we have right now in the private school. It is a great opportunity to work there. I'm enjoying it. 4 years ago, we had 22 students. And today, we sent in our report last week to Baton Rouge, and we have over 400 in grades, pre-K through 10th grade. And we built a new building for the 7th, 8th, and 9th and 10th grade. And we're adding a grade a year. So it's exciting to see what's happening. It's a shame to see what's happening in some of our public education places. But I still had the best job in the world, and that's working with some of the finest people in Caddo. In fact, when I moved to private school the second time, I called Albert Hardison, and I said, "Albert, you got any entry paddles?" And he sent me a paddle. It had CPFB on it. I had to get that off. Caddo Parish School Board. And Walter and Albert and I believe in the same thing, that children are to learn in the classroom. We are to teach them, and it's our responsibility to work and enjoy what we're doing. When I stop enjoying what I'm doing, I guess I'll be a couch potato. Because right now, I'm still enjoying that opportunity. And I want to say again that have something worthwhile as you continue to teach in education, work in education, and make sure that you have a safe place for the students, that you hire good teachers, which I've always think I've done, and they have made me look good. And I want to thank those people for the work that they do in the classroom. If you are a teacher and you strive to be an administrator, just don't ever do this. Don't forget from whence you came. And that's the classroom. Thank you.
Okay, we have a surprise Northwestern, Dr. Jim Henderson. Hello, thank you for coming. We have a group here that's eager to meet you.
Well, good morning. Thank you. I apologize to whoever was the next inductee. You've probably been reading through the program and getting prepared. We are delighted to be here. My wife, Tanya, and my son, Alexander. My other two will be joining us later today. They're a little older, so they had to sleep in. An arduous drive all the way from Bossier was just too much to expect. But, folks, we're just delighted to be here. We just left the In-Club Hall of Fame induction, and athletics is such an important part of Northwestern, as you know. But when you think about what is the core of this university, for 130 years, it starts with the College of Education. And what an amazing job this college has done preparing the teachers, the administrators that are preparing the next generations for life. And that's just an amazing pursuit. It's an honorable pursuit. Both of my parents were educators. Unfortunately, they had to go to Tech. But they worked very hard and sacrificed so that I could come to Northwestern. And, you know, we think back to my wife, we both graduated as journalism majors. And every success we've had in our lives can be traced back to the foundation that we formed here at Northwestern State University. I want to thank you for your support of Northwestern, your support of education in general. We talk about that 130 years of history. It is a rich history, but our best days are in the future. And the College of Education is going to be so prominent in helping us shape that future. So thank you all for letting me intrude on this event. We look forward to seeing you the rest of the day. Go Demons. I do want to say one thing I can about one of the honorees today. This gentleman actually worked for me for just a very short while, and then suddenly he was named one of my bosses. You always think, did I treat them equitably? Did I treat them fairly? Was I respectful? But when he was named onto the Board of Supervisors for Community and Technical Colleges for the state of Louisiana, he gave the most eloquent speech, which is very difficult knowing his background. But he said, it's like when you see, I'll never forget this, when you see a turtle on top of a fence post. You know he had some help to get there. And that's one of the most poignant things I've ever heard. But Mickey Murphy has been a champion for technical education for decades. And the renaissance you're seeing in workforce development and economic development for the state of Louisiana can be traced back to Mickey Murphy and his colleagues that helped form the foundation for technical education. And I just want to thank you very much for what you've done for me.
Julia Hildebrand was a kindergarten and elementary classroom teacher and supervisor of elementary instruction, director of curriculum and instruction in Natchitoches Parish before her retirement in 1994. She earned a bachelor's degree in elementary education at Northwestern State in 1962, a master's in elementary education in 1967, and completed certification as a reading specialist in 1972. During her career, she served as an evaluator of student teachers, a trainer for the Louisiana Teacher Assessment Program, and was a Bessie Program evaluator. She is past president of the Natchitoches Parish School Board, where she served as chairman of the Education and Personnel Committees. Hildebrand lives in Natchitoches and has been married to Tynes for the past 64 years. They have 2 children, Tynes Jr. and Bruce, 5 grandchildren, John, Jack, Joseph, Brent, and Cora Grace, and 3 great-grandchildren, Hannah, Hayden, and Hudson.
When Ms. Hildebrand was named elementary supervisor for Natchitoches Parish, she realized the need for the parish to adopt a comprehensive reading program. Working with Dr. Mildred Bailey, she was offered a room right here in this building in the Teacher Education Center, and a committee was developed to look at the many reading materials currently on the market. The selection of a program resulted in Dr. Hugh Schupoister conducting workshops for all the parish teachers here at Northwestern. During this period, the State Department of Education developed a criteria of excellence in reading called SPUR, and all parish schools were able to meet the standards and become schools of excellence. During the spring of 1984, Natchitoches Parish 4th grade students ranked first in the basic skills test in the state of Louisiana. Ms. Hildebrand.
There's been so many nice things this morning. I don't know how I can follow all of this and our new president and everything. But good morning. It's so good to be here. And I want to thank the College of Education for this honor. And I accept it with gratitude for what Northwestern has meant to me and my family for a long time. I think you've already heard my husband Tynes, and he and I have been married for 64 years, and he has been my rock through all of these years. He's held me up. We started to Northwestern as students in 1950, and we've been blessed because we never left Natchitoches and Northwestern. We've been able to work here, and our professions have been here, and it's been a wonderful place, and we're so grateful. As mentioned, we've had 2 great sons, 5 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, 2 on the way, and 1 maybe any day now, so we're excited about that. I started my teaching career at the First Baptist Church in Natchitoches. 2 great professors here at Northwestern asked me would I go there and teach. I remember these people so well, and you all will too, Dr. Lisso Simmons and Dr. Marie Dunn. I stayed there for 2 years, and then I went on to go Donna Elementary School. And just a side note, just yesterday I was selling tickets for our fall tour of home, and I hope you all will come. But this lady came in and we were talking, and she said, you taught me in the 5th grade at Go Donna. That was in 1964. So children do remember. And that was a great thing for her to tell me that she remembered me as a teacher. I left Go Donna and went on to M.R. Weaver School to be the 3rd grade teacher. And while I was there, one day my principal knocked on my door about 2 o'clock and said they wanted to see you in the central office after school today. And I was literally scared to death. And he said, you're okay, you didn't do anything. And that was a relief. But when I got to the central office, Mr. Rupert Johnson, who had been my principal at Weaver and was now in the central office, asked me would I come and be a helping teacher in reading. That was quite a relief. But I give Mr. Johnson credit for giving me my start in administration. I said yes, of course, and not really knowing what to do, but I received along the way just a lot of help. I stayed in that position, then worked in Title I, and then was in an elementary supervisor, and I realized that we really had to get something going with our reading program. I called on people such as Dr. Mildred Bailey, you all remember her as being Dean of Education here. And then I had the help of Dr. Houston Forster, who was an educational consultant for us in this area. Dr. Lucia McDowell, who was head of the elementary and reading department at the Department of Education, and she was developing standards for reading at that time. And I must remember my good friend Oliver Willis, who was the elementary supervisor in neighboring Wynn Parish. All of them were mentors to me and helped me so much. Even we got the support of the school board, and we got extra funds for
materials, and we got funds to provide teachers for summer school for those students who needed that extra time. Those people meant so much to me. Through this, so many times I remember Dr. Supporter saying, a good teacher is someone who's good at explaining to those who are not so good at understanding. And this is what we try to do with our program. Also, I want to thank the Kiwanis Club of Natchitoches. Many years ago, when I was with Times at a Kiwanis convention, went to the exhibits, and there was a program there called Terrific Kids. And I wanted to see what this was about, because it might help us. And it was about recognizing good students, good citizens, that type of thing. So I came back, and the Kiwanis Club said they would help me. And we started this program to help students, not your best athlete or your best intelligent one, but the good kids who respect their teachers, they respect their peers, they do their homework, and we wanted to recognize them. Our Kiwanis Club of Natchitoches picked this up, and I think this is remarkable. For 30 years, they have continued every month to recognize students in Natchitoches Parish. Teaching has been is one of the most rewarding professions that you can possibly be in. But it brings a lot of responsibility. And I think that is what we have to remember. Early in my career, I saw the sign on the wall, and it said, I saw tomorrow look at me through little children's eyes. And I thought how carefully we teach if only we were wise. And I know that's a challenge to all of us who've been in education. Thanks again for this honor.
Eloise Sanders. She spent her career teaching social studies and English in Webster Parish, during which time she was involved with social organizations, programs, and athletics at Doline High School. She earned a bachelor's degree in social studies at Northwestern State in 1949 and a master's in education in 1958. Sanders is a member of the Louisiana Education Association, the Louisiana Retired Teachers Association, and Delta Kappa Gamma Society International. Former classmates, family, and friends established a scholarship in Sanders' name for a Doline High School student to attend Northwestern State. Sanders lives in Arcadia and has a host of nieces and nephews, great-nieces and nephews, and great-great-nieces and nephews.
Ms. Sanders responded to the question, what was one of her most memorable experiences in teaching, that she's enjoyed all of her years in teaching. However, her first year was probably the most memorable. She taught 8th grade at Doyling. The school was overcrowded, so 7th and 8th grade academic classes were housed at the First Baptist Church. She says, I made 3 trips a day from the church to school and back. We went to the school for lunch, for gym class, and for the kids to catch the buses. The next year I was promoted to the high school to teach social studies and English. It was far easier to teach when everything was in one location. Ms. Sanders.
I want to say first, I love Northwestern. I came here as a timid little girl from the Claiborne Parish Red Hills. I just graduated from Athens High School in 1945. This was back in the days where you had an advisor. You went to the advisor to get your class schedule, and then you went around to get those classes. That particular day, I was assigned to Dr. Kaiser,
but I knew he had a long line. It was a big old, I think it was in Caldwell Hall at that time. And as I walked in that door, there was a lady sitting over on the side, and she says, "Come on over here, honey. I'll take care of you." That was Miss Catherine Winters. She was my advisor and my mentor for those 4 years. She guided me well. I enjoyed my days at Northwestern, and I went to teaching in Webster Parish. I was one of those people that I liked classroom teaching. They promoted me up to the school the next year, and I taught English a little bit, but mostly it was social studies. And today, I look around and I see my family. As I said, my family is my nieces and nephews and the great ones, and still some more to come along. And even my sister is here today. She's a little bit older than I am. But it is such a joy. But the real people, the others that really I appreciate, and they're all over this audience, they're my former students. They're the ones that sat in my classroom, and as they'll tell you, you better put this down, this is important. I remember asking them, the first year or two that I taught, I said, "What do you need to know when you go in college that you didn't get in high school?" We didn't know how to take notes. Some of those professors could talk so fast you sure couldn't keep up with them. So we learned how to take notes. I still get stories from some of my former students about what I said and what I did that I don't really remember. But I was wondering, and this was a small school, and basketball was the thing. And when you were a teacher, you did a lot more than teaching in a classroom. You took up money, and my job, I kept the time clock for 29 years. I can't say what some of the things that were said to me. But you did all those things. You helped direct plays. And I was also senior sponsor for about 29 years. And they can tell you I fussed at them if they didn't get their hat on straight, or if they didn't have that collar sewed on that gown that they were supposed to be wearing. But I enjoyed my years. I enjoyed my years in the classroom and those students. And the greatest thing in my life now is to see them and for them to come back and tell me that what they learned. It wasn't all in the textbooks. It was in the way you treated them. It was the way you appreciated them. And I did appreciate them. And I appreciate all of you being here today, and my family especially. I look over there and I see those faces. Some of those students, I taught whole families. I taught in New Orleans for 33 years. I saw them grow up from first grade through high school. And today is when I told one of them this morning, I said, "I don't know what your first name is, but I know you're a Craig." I may not recognize it, but I can remember. I enjoyed my years. And I look at those names out there in that hall, and I wonder, what in the world is my name doing up there? I do appreciate, I know how it started. Started with Dr. Virginia Crossdoe over here, who's one of my former students. I didn't tell Virginia she needed to come to Northwestern, but I encouraged her. And aren't y'all glad I did? It's been a wonderful day. I appreciate everything about it. I thank you for the honor. And I love Northwestern still. I love all my former students. And when the question was asked about the family, I said, I'm not married, I don't have any children, I don't have any grandchildren, but I have all sorts of children all over with those that I have taught and with my family. Thank you.
Mickey Murphy. He functioned in a number of educational roles as a dean, regional director, civic leader, mentor, and president of the Louisiana Community and Technical College Board. Murphy began his career as a junior high school teacher before moving into student affairs at NSU and later instructor and counselor at Concordia Parish School. He then spent many years as instructor, counselor, assistant director, director and campus dean at Louisiana Technical College in Bogalusa, when the technical college system was transferred to the Louisiana Community and Technical College system. Murphy earned an associate degree from Panola College and a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's in student personnel services at Northwestern State. Murphy lives in Bogalusa and is married to Joy. They have one daughter, Melanie, and two granddaughters, Della and Livy.
Wow. There are folks in this room that know me better than others, and they will tell you that it's a little bit risky to give me a microphone and an audience. First of all, allow me to congratulate each of the distinguished educators present here today. You're certainly well deserving of this honor, regardless of what you think about the names on the wall now. I want to say to you that there is one name on that wall out there that Jimmy Berry mentioned earlier, and that's Mr. Bill Dodd. There's not many of Mr. Bill Dodd's boys left, but I happen to be one of them. I want to thank Dean Gentry and the faculty and staff of the Gillespie College of Education for putting this activity together today and hosting such a great event for all of us. I have to say to you that it is very humbling to me, and I am so honored to stand before you here this morning. I was a student on this campus for many years. I have remained in contact with the university. I served as a staff member here, working for Dr. Richard Galloway. I know there's many in this chamber that remember Dr. Galloway. He was one of my mentors, as well as Coach Leday and so many others that are too numerous for me to mention. You heard Dr. Henderson allude to my comments about being like a turtle on the fence post, not getting here by myself. That is truer today than it has ever been. And I want to thank some people that have played major roles in my life that are with us today. We have Chris Weaver. Where is Chris? Raise your hand, please. Chris is over here. Chris at one time was one of my bosses. We were young students, undergraduates here together more years ago than I care to mention. And Chris and I have remained friends for all these years. At one time, she was one of my bosses, and she nominated me for this award. And Chris, I want to thank you and the committee for considering me. I also have my wife, Joy, raise your hand. My wife of 36 years also attended this great university and is a graduate. I have 3 brothers and a sister. We all attended this university. I have two of where's Tim? I have Tim, my brother Tim, those of you in Natchez. Tim lives in Natchez. He's on the back seat back there. I have another brother, Kevin, right here. And the university has been good to my family. My grandfather attended Louisiana State Normal, was a veteran of WW1, went on to teach school, later had a political career, and represented this university. So my family has a very long history of association with this great school. And like I say, I'm so delighted to be here. I have also a couple of members of my extended family. We have Dean Chancellor Will Wainwright and his wife Misty, who are both, raise your hand, who are both graduates of this university. And Will now serves as the Chancellor of the North Shore Technical Community College. They have been very helpful to me. I hired both of them right out of this university. And I had to hire Will to get Misty. And that's a fact. But it has worked out well, and I'm glad to have y'all with me today. I know that the hours get lengthy, but I would like to close on a little personal note. And some of you might remember, in 1957, the Yankees were playing the Braves in the World Series. Coach, you remember? And Eddie Matthews was instrumental in a triple play, and they won the World Series. I say that to say to you that the reason I am so familiar with that is because I was playing hooky that day. And my report card came a couple of weeks later. My father worked construction. We were living in Ackerman, Mississippi, and the grades came in. And guess what? I had 4 F's and a D. It was time for us to move back to Grand Parish so he could get me back in school where I could pass. And thanks to great teachers, great teachers, and the work that they did. They took an old country fellow like me and kept nudging me along. I finally got graduated from high school, and I was sort of like Marcel Ledbetter of Jerry Flower fame, if you remember those stories. Well, Marcel liked to play basketball, and I did too. In those days, they had a saying about folks not being college material. We can't say that today, because that's not politically correct. But those words were spoken about me. And they were true words. But being like Marcel, I had 2 or 3 opportunities to play college ball. And I was fortunate enough to get a bus ticket to go to Panola College in Carthage, Texas. And while I was there, I was offered a scholarship. That changed my life, folks. Because in 6 months, I had developed an appetite for college life. And it was fun times for me. Jimmy Berry here, when he was on campus security at this campus, he could probably tell some stories that he remembers that I prefer that he keep to himself. Having said that, all you educators in this room, never, ever, never fail to realize the impact that you have on people's lives. There has never been a person that enjoyed their work any more than I did. And I'm so thankful for all those folks when I was in school, elementary school, high school, college, all along the way. I had teachers helping nudge me along to try to push me over the edge so that I could amount to something. And whatever little bit of success that I've had today, I give credit to the good Lord I give credit to my family and my friends and this university. And I thank you for this award today.
Well, this concludes our program, and I want to remind you that you will be presented at the beginning of the football game tonight. So you need to come to the field house and enter at the ground level, enter the end zone that's on the field house side, and then be there about 5:45, and you'll be presented. So we'll go to the 50-yard line, your name will be called, you step forward and wave, and then step back, and it's over just like that. But it's a way that the university can recognize your award. So
They
you're
put it
not
on
able.
television, when you had the TV cameras out, so.
We will, I'll be there. So thank you all so much for coming. I hope it's been a memorable day for you, and I hope you are there for the football game. Go Demons!